In today's video, I'm sharing with you 5 things that, generally speaking, you will never see an Italian person do, and just why that is. Now, of course, it goes without saying there will always be exceptions to the rule. It's not to say that this is 100% true for every person who comes from Italy, but I will say that in the near 6.5 years that I have spent living here in South Italy, I have never seen an Italian person do any of these things. So in my eyes and from my experience, these things are very true. So let's address the elephant in the room and talk about the first thing that you will never see an Italian person do, and that is put pineapple on their pizza. Now, this is a bit of a running joke amongst people, because they will come to Italy and they'll be like, but we don't have pineapple on our pizza. Like, I come from London and I used to have this pizza combination. It's otherwise known as a Hawaiian pizza. But in Italy, it doesn't exist. In fact, I kind of wind people up a little bit here by saying how much I used to enjoy eating this kind of pizza back in the UK, because the reaction is just gold. People are like, no, what? You're crazy. It's really, really funny to see. But I did wonder why this is even a thing. And so I did some research on the internet, because I've never ever landed at a definitive reason as to why Italian people don't put pineapple on their pizza. Now, for some people, they say it's because there shouldn't be sweet toppings on pizza, especially fruit. Yet I have seen Nutella pizzas for sale as like a dessert option in some places. So that part has never made sense to me. And I've also thought, well, tomato is technically a fruit, although it is classified as a vegetable, yet that is the base ingredient for the majority of pizzas. So again, that has never really made sense to me. But what I really think it could be, based on the research that I did around this, is because of cultural appropriation. I actually think because it has never been in the Italian heritage and history to kind of have this flavour combination on pizzas, Italian people almost take offence to the fact that their original recipe has been altered in this way to suit Western tastes. And so I think that probably makes more sense than any of the other reasons that I've found. Now, I will say something really funny. I saw, and it was actually marketing genius, if I'm honest, an Italian restaurant in the UK have basically said that they will do you a pizza with pineapple on, but it will cost you £100 because they detest it that much. And I thought that was fantastic as a bit of a marketing strategy. But it's this. If you go into a restaurant here in Italy and they are serving you pizza with pineapple on, let me tell you, that is not a genuine, authentic Italian restaurant. That is a tourist trap designed specifically to cater for international tastes. Here in Italy, you will never, ever come across a pizzeria that has this particular pizza combination. So it's a bit of a red flag for you if you do happen to find it here in Italy. Or even internationally, if you find a pizzeria in your country that has this combination, they are doing it just to cater to other tastes. It is not something that you would ever find here in Italy. The second thing that you will never see an Italian do is eat dinner before 8 p.m, unless you're in hospital. Now, this is something that has taken me so long to get used to, but here in Italy, 8 p.m. is considered an average time, but at the weekend it can even be later, like 9 p.m, even as late as 10 p.m. if you are out with friends, for example. So again, this gives you another indication of typical tourist places, because if you see restaurants that are open and they're presenting menus and ready to serve people at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, they are not the places where the locals go. Local Italian people will not venture into restaurants before 8 p.m. That is usually the time when people are having an aperitivo or pre-dinner drinks before they actually head to the restaurant. So if you see people eating at that time, they are not from Italy. Now, of course, in hospital, it's a little bit different, and they do operate to earlier eating hours, which is why people have this joke that, that is the only time that you would ever eat that early in Italy. And it is a thing. And I have to be honest with you, it took a bit of getting used to, because I'm from the UK. Typically, our dinners are like 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock if we're pushing the boat out. But it's difficult. It was difficult. It's not difficult anymore for me, but it was difficult to get used to at the very beginning. But now I can understand why. Dinner here in Italy is typically lighter than lunch. Lunch tends to be the main meal and the heaviest meal of the day. Dinner tends to be lighter. And so for this reason, you can almost get away with eating later because you're not eating such a heavy meal at that time. Whereas in the UK, for example, lunch is lighter and dinner tends to be our main meal. So it tends to be the heaviest meal of the day for us, which is why it makes sense that we would eat it earlier. So I can understand why people do eat later. And also just because in Italy, especially, people tend to stay up later, especially at weekends. People have had their afternoon nap. Some people anyway, not everybody does this, but some people do. And so they tend to have more energy for the evening. So it's just a different culture and a different way of life. But yes, no Italian person will eat dinner before 8 p.m. unless they're sick. The third thing that you'll never see an Italian person do is get wildly drunk in public. Now, I come from the UK, as you all know, and we do have a notorious drinking culture in the UK. You will see on an average weekend in different cities around the UK, people going out, getting drunk, vomiting in the street, and just making a complete idiot of themselves. It's a common sight in many of the major cities. And I have to be honest with you, I think it's just because we can't handle our drink, but we do like to drink. And that combination is lethal. However, here in Italy, there is a different attitude to drinking. People do drink, but they don't drink to get drunk. They drink to enjoy the occasion and the company of the people that they are with. This means, for example, that an average bottle of wine might last 2 or 3 hours and not 30 minutes if it were in the UK. So it is different. And as such, I've never seen an Italian person vomiting in the street or, being really, really wild because they're drunk. It's very, very rare here, and I personally have never come across it. And so I do appreciate that because I do think it adds an air of elegance to going out of an evening. People here go out to enjoy themselves, but not get so blindly drunk that they can't remember what they did that evening. So it is a very, very different experience in that way. And I also think as well, it's because alcohol is not this taboo kind of topic that it can be in the UK. Italian families will start to introduce maybe a tiny sip of wine for their children at a Sunday lunch, for example. Of course, this is not all the time, but on special occasions, if there's a celebration, a tiny little sip of wine. But you see, it's kind of treated as something that is normal from childhood. And from a psychological point of view, I think that this is the best thing to do because the problem is in the UK, it's something that is prohibited until you're 18. And so you kind of go a bit crazy when you are legally able to drink it because you've not been able to have it up until that point legally. And so there is a different mindset and approach to the way that we consume alcohol in the UK. And I think here in Italy, because it's normalised more, especially in family settings, when kind of people reach the age where they can legally purchase alcohol here, they don't tend to go crazy because it's something that has been part of their surroundings for such a long time. It's not something that they need to go, lose their minds over. So it's a different approach to alcohol here in Italy. And I think, I much prefer it. The fourth thing that you will never see an Italian person do in Italy is go to the supermarket in their pajamas. I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but you can and often do see this in the UK. Not all the time and not everyone, thankfully, but there are people who will put a big jacket over their pajamas, put on a pair of Uggs and go to the supermarket. It's not a thing here. People really do pay a lot more attention to their appearance. And, of course, people will rock up at the supermarket in tracksuit bottoms and joggers. Yeah, of course, but never pajamas. And I think that just says everything you need to know about this culture. People really do pride themselves on how they look. And I like that. I think, if you take care of yourself, it shows respect for yourself, which in turn, not always, unfortunately, but in turn, it should mean that you radiate that respect to other people. So, yeah, you will never ever see this here in Italy, and I think that's a really good thing. And the fifth thing that you will never see an Italian person do, especially here in South Italy, is to be reserved. People here in the South are open and they're loud. Oh my goodness. I still struggle sometimes, nearly 6.5 years later, to understand if people are having an argument or if they are just really excited, because they are so animated in their expressions and in the things they have to say, that I really struggle sometimes to understand if they're annoyed or they're just really, really happy. So here in South Italy, people are just like this, especially when they're having telephone conversations. It's so loud that the entire room can hear. Like when people are in their apartments, you can hear people. It's this is the culture. In the UK, people are a lot more reserved. We don't say hello to everybody, especially to people we don't know. And there is that kind of closed culture at points. But here in South Italy, it's not like that. People are extremely open. Strangers will say good morning to you. It's considered rude if you don't say hello to like neighbours that you might meet in communal spaces. So yeah, it's very, very different. And I think it is for the better here, because it definitely helps you to feel like you're part of a community when people actually greet you and they don't ignore you. And when people are like this open with their emotions, and it's not even just verbally, but with all the body gestures and movements that people make here to express themselves. Yeah, it's something. It's a language all by itself. But I actually think to be this open is somewhat better than being reserved. There are moments when perhaps it's more appropriate to be reserved, but not all the time. And I really appreciate that more living here. So I hope you've enjoyed this video of the 5 things that I've never seen an Italian person do here in South Italy in the near 6.5 years I've lived here. If you did enjoy this video, I suggest you watch this video next, which will give you further insights into what it's like to live here. I'll see you in the next video.